Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Can you tell me about your book and how that came about, and talk about Marc Roberty a little bit?
Fine. I'm glad you asked about that because I just saw a post from Mark about 5 minutes ago. Must be something in the air. But, well, I didn't know that throughout my life, everybody, I was really a part of everybody's experience. As I was growing up, into my teens, when I got involved with Stax, I was part of their experience. They weren't my whole entire experience. When I went with Delaney and Bonnie, I was part of their experience. I was picking up something from everywhere. It's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower. With Delaney and Bonnie, I mean, with Derek and the Dominoes, George Harrison, Joe Cocker, and then suddenly Ray Charles is in my life, and all these different things. It's like I was just my whole upbringing, doing what I did when I was young, chopping cotton and all of that. I didn't realize that, in fact, what I was doing was storing all of this. This is part of my, only just a fraction of my memories that even are down. But it's like I had built up so much. I had so much, and the vessel finally broke and spilled out like wine on the table.
How did that happen?
Well, I don't know how it happened, but just like I said, I had so much that I couldn't hold anymore. And somebody had written on the Steve Hoffman. I was not very good with typing out things. I could type, but not, all good men must come to the aid of their country. That's it. But someone, you got it, the Steve Hoffman forum up. You went through a great.
Somebody
I don't even know how.
Somebody had asked about who was the girl on the Layla record.
That's what it was.
And no one had ever answered the question, so I got on the thread and I answered it, and then it was sort of set up like that.
Yeah, and
that went on for about 3 days.
Came right back, and Coco, this Bobby and Coco, and so then somebody responded to that.
Actually, they didn't know it was me at first.
No, and they soon found out. Then they started fielding questions. Suddenly, everybody gained interest, and oh wow!
So, this is the Steve Hoffman Forum.
Yeah, the Steve Hoffman Forum,
which was a big forum.
Yeah. I thought it was like 7 guys sitting around the table. I had no idea that what I was saying and who I was saying it to was going around the planet. I didn't know that. I'm just catching on to some of this stuff. A little advanced for me. I still, 24 channels guy.
Every morning we would get up.
Yeah.
And
have some coffee.
The first thing we did was get on the Steve Hoffman Forum, and you start.
And there would be 50 questions. 50 responses from all the people who were members on it. Next thing you know, I was answering, and Coco was doing the typing, and we're just taking it.
That would be me.
That would be you, I would answer each one, and it was like suddenly it was all this flow. It was a flow that was happening.
It was intense. It would last.
Yeah.
Like hours.
Yeah. Well, then Coco, your beautiful self, had to go to California to see her family, and this was in September. I remember it being in September. I don't know what date or anything like that, but the next day, I said, I'd start typing, like, okay, it's just me, Coco's gone to California, and somebody said, I'm pulling up a seat, and started. Somebody asked me something. I don't remember what it was, and it started, and it became, and there's like this flow, and it was like this. I would answer something, and it wasn't just yes and no. It was like this thing just started spilling out of me so fast that I couldn't keep up with my fingers. Everything was spelled wrong. And, and after it was all over, I'd have to go back and decipher it and put it back in where it was legible. But then it was something else. Wow. And it just got
real. It was all unfiltered.
Yeah, all unfiltered. Man, well, that's like inside. I didn't realize. And I had a cathartic experience. And I had to look that word up because somebody said that was what was happening. And I said, well, whatever it is, if that's the name of it, I better check it out. And sure enough, that's the vessel was spilling out. Woo! And there was no way to take it back or tone it down because what was said is said, and it's a forever dispensation.
Well, the good thing is, it was a historical moment in time. You can actually go back into that forum and read from the very get-go when this whole thing started.
Well, along come Marc Roberty in the middle of all of this stuff. I don't even know how he knew that I was on this forum. I didn't even realize where I was, I just thought I was on the farm and everything was pretty cool. Well, Mark comes in and says, it looks like you, something to the effect of, you need this needs to be in book form, And he said, I'm here to help you, in any way I can.
And Mark is pretty well. Pretty well.
Anybody knows about Eric Clapton?
He's written a lot of books.
Well, he's like 30-something books or something on Eric, and The Last Thing, and Led Zeppelin, and this. And then this last book of Eric's. It's amazing.
So basically, Mark he's a historian. He's a music historian.
Yeah. He's the quintessential music authority when it comes to Eric Clapton and Led Zeppelin, and journalists. Well, he said, I'll come along and be your editor. And so what he crossed the T's and dotted the I's and got the dates right. I knew everything, but I didn't remember like that it was some hall in Bexley,
Right.
But then he got some details, and really, and then it was just Mark and me. And he would ask me a question, and it would just open a door for me, and then it would all come out. And it turned out that, like things do in my world, at the end of it, we had like 580 something stories that were on, and the manuscript was about 3 inches thick. It looked like War and Peace. But next thing you know, boom! Here comes a publisher wanting to put this book out of the blue. Everything came to us. We got a publisher, and it was one of the top publishers, McFarlane and Company, top publishers in the world.
It was interesting writing a book, was it not? I remember going through some of the stories, and every morning you would wake up. Every morning, it was like
4 o'clock or something.
You would hear the voice.
Our voice would say, "Get up, get up."
And I think,
and it wasn't my voice, and that was the voice I was following. I'd get up, Coco would make me some coffee. I'd go start, and then just see it would all happen.
It was an all-day affair.
All-day affair, yeah.
For how long did this go on?
7 months, and no, longer than that.
18.
It was 18 months, but at 7 months, we just had to take a break because we were playing at the Saxon, so we had to take a break because the book was more important. No offense to Saxon, but the book was paramount. It's like I couldn't control it, and it's kind of like my painting. I can't control that. It's the same thing I'm following it with my painting as I did with my book. And I was telling all these stories and it wasn't all about music, and it isn't all about music. And it's my life, and music was a part of it. Well, I had gotten to where all of a sudden it just stopped. Just like that. Just as it started, it stopped.
How did you know it was the end?
I had nothing left to say. It was the end. And I could hardly believe it, because I would ask my mom things, and to refresh in my memory, and that would open the door for something else. But when it stopped, it just went. It stopped, and I went, wow. And I was telling my mother and my brother about it, and because every family knew what I was doing. Ooh, that got everybody scared that I was writing a book too. For what I know.
It does for everybody. Everybody's the same.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, you literally wrote.
Yeah.
I mean, from every single day.
Every single day.
I mean, all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah.
And had no problem with it. A lot of people have ghostwriters and things like that.
No, it was. I wrote every word on it. Like I said, Mark put it all in context, and he would ask me something, and it would open another door. And my brother said something. You said you didn't even say anything about me in there. And I thought, well, you know what? I didn't write about my mother's experience and certain things that we did. I missed, and my brother. He was part of my life. He's not around anymore.
He was
passed
much
away.
younger than you.
But and I went back and I wrote 2 more chapters, and boy, it read like I went back and wrote 2 more chapters, and then Coco said, I read the last one of her, was about with my brother, and she said, you want to finish your autobiography with a story about your brother? And I thought about it, and I went, no, I didn't, and the story, because I read like I forced them,
Well, it didn't.
And I
fit.
went, it didn't flow, and I went back, took that one away, and took that one away, and suddenly I realized the very last word on the last sentence of the last thing I had written was the end of the book. And it's something that Eric said and did, and I went, oh, it was right there, When it was cut off, it cut off. I hope that my painting never does. I mean, I'm 72, and when I leave this scene, I hope I have a paintbrush in my hand,
So
But,
how did the title come about for your book?
Well,
I'm sure people were going to want to know.
it was
The name of it is.
interesting. It's Bobby Whitlock, a rock and roll autobiography. And I didn't want to call it that for some reason or other. I didn't want my name on the cover. I don't know. I've never been in a situation like that. And I was thinking Domino, calling it Domino or something.
Nobody would know what that is.
And the publisher said, "How about Bobby Whitlock, a rock and roll autobiography?"
They really didn't give you a choice. It was take it or leave it.
Yeah. And I went, oh, wow. So about me being me. It's like, because I'm not that kind of, it's not all about me, but it's my autobiography, so it better be about me.
It's an odd thing to write a book, and then you have to name it, and then the publisher says, this is what it's going to be. And
and on top of that, we gave them like this 580 something stories, and they reduced that down to like 27 or 30. So I mean, now we have enough left over to go on, and we've talked about it, Mark and I. We wanted to wait till this year was over to see what happens in 2020, and a lot has gone down in my world since that book. And so we're just going to pick it up from there and update it and bring it to life again.
When was this book released again? This book. I forget.
I think it was 7 years ago. So
It hardly seems like 7 years.
Yeah, it was like 7 years ago.
Yes, a lot has happened.
A lot's gone down in 7 years, and nothing ever small happens in my world. It's all monumental stuff. You know, it's pretty amazing. I went back, and when I was finished, it was like I had had a complete cleansing.
You felt better after
Oh
writing?
wow!
You had a lot of pent up.
I didn't know I'd been carrying all this stuff around all these years. You know, I was carrying other people's burdens. You know, thinking that was I'm supposed to do that. You know, the way I was raised. You know, I was sharing other people's burdens. I mean, things like that I have even up into my adulthood, and recent burdens of people.
Can you tell me one of the burdens that you were carrying that you?
Well, all right, yeah. There was a woman that came when we had our farm, when we first came to Austin, and she came to visit the landlady, and this woman was troubled, and it touched me so, you know. It moved me, her predicament, you know, being in another country and having such personal issues go down. I related to them, and it came out in a song, you know. So that's how that works, you know.
So
A woman said to me the other day about my art that it made her cry. This particular painting made her cry. Made me cry when I was finished with it. I did something the other day, and I could hardly believe it. It brought tears to my eyes. It makes right now it's overflowing, you know.
So these burdens, you're saying that these are very sad burdens.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. Tremendous stuff.
And
Thinking I'm sharing and carrying someone else's burdens, you know. No, we don't even have to carry our own.
It's hard to carry your own.
Yeah. I'm glad we had this decided to have this little thing here. This is good. It's good for me to go a little deeper. You know, I've thought about it, and I'm 72 now, and I've got a lot of knowledge about things that went down, because when I was the youngest of all of the, every situation I was in, I was the youngest, and so I wasn't doing drugs and alcohol. I was wide open, had my ears and everything. My problems with drugs and alcohol didn't start until I stopped the dominoes. That stopped. So that's when everything kind of, for me. So, but I was very, very clear. So all of my memories that I have are absolute crystal.